in the United States have reestablished free trade for the vast majority of our goods.
Starting September 1st, Canada will scrap the 25% counter-tariffs it placed on American goods covered by the North American Free Trade Deal.
Don't even start with that diplomatic fluff. Canada's trade standoff with the United States has dominated headlines for months, and now Prime Minister Mark Carney has taken a dramatic step. He announced that Canada will remove many of its retaliatory counter-tariffs on U.S. goods under the CUSMA agreement. That's not just another technical trade adjustment, it's a major pivot in a high-stakes economic confrontation that's been shaping the future of North American trade. Imagine walking through a Canadian grocery store these past few months. Peanut butter costing more, orange juice more expensive, imported appliances carrying price tags that sting. For households already squeezed by inflation, those tariffs weren't just numbers on a spreadsheet, they were visible daily reminders of the escalating trade war. And now, out of nowhere, Canada says we're stepping back. The announcement came on August 22, 2025, directly from Ottawa. Carney explained that effective September 1, Canada would lift most of its counter-tariffs on goods imported from the United States, but only those goods that fall under the official framework of CUSMA, the Canada-U.S.-Mexico Trade Agreement. Everyday items like household appliances, orange juice, wines, ketchup, and consumer staples will no longer carry those retaliatory duties. But, importantly, tariffs remain firmly in place on steel, aluminum, and autos, the heart of North America's industrial backbone. Why did this shift happen? The story stretches back months. Since early 2025, the U.S. under Donald Trump had reimposed aggressive protectionist tariffs, particularly targeting steel and aluminum imports from Canada and Mexico. Ottawa responded with its own countermeasures, hitting some $20 billion worth of U.S. exports. Farmers in Wisconsin felt it, California wine producers felt it, and even peanut butter producers in Georgia felt it. Canada designed its list strategically to maximize political pressure, but the pressure cut both ways. Canadian importers, retailers, and ordinary consumers were squeezed. Over the summer, manufacturers complained that parts were more expensive, retailers warned of higher prices on shelves, and consumer advocates pressed the government to find relief. By August, Carney was under fire not only from the opposition, but from his own governing coalition's backbenchers, who worried that keeping tariffs indefinitely would hurt more Canadians than Americans.
We also continue to extend our hand for Prime Minister Carney to work together to get a good deal with the Americans. I promised that, and I offered that to him multiple times directly.
Then came the phone call. Just a day before the Ottawa announcement, Carney spoke with President Trump. According to reports from both sides, the conversation was productive. Trump, never one to hold back his words, reportedly called Carney's willingness to drop tariffs on CUSMA-covered goods nice, a rare soft tone from the U.S. president. That brief exchange appears to have opened the door. Canada would drop some tariffs, the U.S. would acknowledge the gesture, and negotiations could inch back toward life. From a policy perspective, this was more than goodwill. Economists point out that tariffs act like taxes on consumers. When Canada slapped duties on peanut butter, orange juice, or appliances, the costs went straight to Canadian households. By removing them, Carney isn't just pleasing Trump, he's giving ordinary Canadians relief at the checkout counter. Still, critics warn the move could weaken Canada's negotiating hand. Opposition leaders immediately accused Carney of caving under pressure, of giving up leverage right when talks with Washington are at their most fragile. Unions representing steel and auto workers have been especially vocal. They fear today's small concessions could lead to bigger compromises down the line. If Canada blinks now, they argue, what happens when Trump demands even more in 2026 during the full CUSMA review? But Carney insists this isn't weakness, it's strategy. At the press conference, he argued that Canada now has, quote, the best deal of any country with the United States. By focusing retaliation only where it matters, on industrial goods like steel, aluminum, and autos, Canada sharpens its leverage while easing pressure on consumers and small businesses. Supporters frame it as a smart tactical retreat. You cut tariffs where they hurt you more than the U.S., but keep them in sectors where your bargaining power is strongest. The consequences are already playing out. U.S. exporters are welcoming the change, with trade associations calling it a positive step toward reviving talks. Canadian distributors and retailers are quietly relieved. No one wanted a Christmas shopping season with tariffs still inflating prices. But labor groups remain skeptical. Some accuse Carney of focusing too much on consumer optics while neglecting long-term industrial security. There are interesting details too. Even before this announcement, over 85% of Canada-U.S. trade was already tariff-free thanks to CUSMA exemptions. So, in practice, the counter-tariffs were highly targeted. Dropping them won't erase the broader trade tensions. And it doesn't touch the thorniest issues: steel quotas, auto supply chains, and Trump's continued threat of 50% tariffs on metals. What makes this moment striking is how quickly Carney's tone has shifted. During his campaign, he promised maximum pressure on Washington to protect Canadian industries. But standing at the podium in Ottawa, he sounded far more like a careful diplomat than a fiery challenger. That change in tone is being noticed both at home and abroad. For some, it's proof of statesmanship. For others, it's a sign he's backing down. So, where does this leave us? Starting September 1, tariffs on most U.S. consumer goods will vanish in Canada. Tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos remain. Negotiations between Ottawa and Washington will restart. The looming deadline? A full review of CUSMA in 2026, less than a year away. That review could reshape the entire trade deal or even fracture it. Carney's move may be designed to buy time, to cool tempers now so that the bigger fight doesn't arrive with both sides already entrenched. The future is uncertain. If Carney's gamble pays off, this small gesture could reset the conversation, reduce pressure on households, and make Canada look pragmatic on the world stage. If it fails, Canada may find itself with fewer bargaining chips when Trump comes back demanding more. Either way, the fragile truce of August 2025 shows how quickly the trade landscape can shift. One phone call, one press conference, one sudden change of tone. So here's the truth. Canada has made its move, removing tariffs to ease the strain and to signal diplomacy. But the war of economics isn't over, not by a long shot. What comes next may define not just the price of peanut butter, but the fate of North America's biggest trade pact. And now it's over to you. Should Canada have held firm? Or was Carney right to ease tariffs and buy some breathing room? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that subscribe button if you want more sharp takes on global trade drama. And stay tuned, because the next twist is only a headline away.